What's up, YouTube? This is Adolf here, bringing you a Pokemon Black 2, White 2 Showdown battle. And this one is against Crinkly Croons, and it's an OU battle. We had a match earlier that day, and he decided he wanted a rematch. But the thing is, I brought a different team, and he brought the same team, which means I'm kind of at an advantage. He said it was okay before the battle, though, so we kind of just went with it. And my team revolves around a Zoroark sweep, but the thing is about this battle, he doesn't get much of a chance to shine. So that means it's up to the other 5 Pokemon on my team to deal with the threats that he has on his team. Big threats including Gyarados and Dragonite, and obviously Chomp. But we'll see how that all goes. That Mega is pretty scary too, the speed boost. And so here we go. I lead off with my Drapion. He leads off with his Ferrothorn. The thing about my Drapion is it doesn't have Taunt, so I have nothing to do to this Ferrothorn whatsoever. So I'm going to go out to my Infernape to immediately threaten him with a Fire-type move. And he goes for Leech Seed. So I'm going to predict him to switch out, or go for Protect or something. So I'm going to go to my Glasgow, both to get my Toxcorp up, to be able to taunt him if he does stay in, and to get my Stealth Rocks up, which I end up doing this turn. As he sends in Garchomp, and I'm not too threatened by Garchomp. He does set up Stealth Rocks in my face, though, so that's a little surprising. I see he's probably more defensive, and I decide to go for the Toxic, but he goes for the Sub, and it blocks my Toxic. And then I go for the Taunt, fearing that he might be Swords Dance, but he's not. He is way more defensive with Dragon Tail, and my Drapion's Crunches can't even break his substitutes. Granted, they're completely uninvested, and Drapion only has base 90 attack. I still kind of expected it to break a Garchomp sub, though. So I'm going to get Dragon Tailed out into what looks like my Gengar, but it's actually my Zoroark. And I kind of tried to keep up the illusion by going for Focus Blast, but it was pretty risky. Could have missed. Should have just gone for Night Daze or whatever I have for a Dark-type stab. Instead, I get Dragon Tailed out into my Gliscor, and I'm just going to go for Earthquake while he substitutes, and I'm going to break his sub with a crit. And so at this point, neither of us really knows if an Earthquake will continue to break his subs. And right now, he goes for Protect, so I've seen Protect, I've seen Sub, I've seen Dragon Tail, so it's a really defensive Chompy. And so he sees that I'm going for Taunt, and so he probably wants to get another substitute up, but I've had it with this Garchomp, so I'm just going to keep going for Earthquake until he decides to switch out, which he does right here. He switches right out into his Ferrothorn to take that Earthquake, and that happens. Takes it very well, definitely a defensive Ferrothorn. But I'm going to go for the Taunt right here, because I know that there's not much a Ferrothorn can do to basically max HP, max defense, Gliscor. And now that he's taunted, I know that he's going to either switch out or he's going to go for an attacking move. And Zoroark doesn't really threaten that much on his team, so I just decided to fodder it off. Or if he decided to switch out, then it would get one last chance to hit something. But he kills it. And then I go out into my Infernape to threaten him out with the Fire-type move again, but I know we'll switch, so I go for the U-turn. And I hit this Chompy, who comes in probably expecting to take a Fire-type move, and I crit him, which probably mattered seeing how bulky he was, but I'm not entirely sure. And I'm going to U-turn out into my Drapion, and he brings out his Tentacruel. And he's faster than my Drapion, because Tentacruel is just faster, and I have no speed investment. And I'm going to go for Earthquake, which is super effective, but as I said before, I have 0 attack investment, and it's not stab. So it's not going to be doing much to his Tentacruel. The thing is, nothing on my team particularly wants to take a Scald besides this Drapion, so I'm going to leave him in and continue to Earthquake until he decides to switch out, which he does there, predicting an Earthquake into his Dragonite. And that's where the fact that we had battled earlier kind of comes into play. I knew that he was a Dragon Dance Dragonite, and so I decided to go for Whirlwind on the off chance that he decided to set up, which happens. And I Whirlwind him out into his Tentacruel. And so we're in this situation again where nothing on my team wants to take a Scald except for Drapion, but my Drapion doesn't hurt him much with Earthquake, and so I'm going to continue to go for Earthquake until here, where I expect to switch, but, you know, don't have that much in the way of attacking moves or attacking power, so figured I'd just Whirlwind to see what his counter was. And here I switch into my Infernape, as I've done every time on his Ferrothorn, because I just want it out of the way. But here in comes his Gyarados, and it switches out probably. He probably predicted Stone Edge, but I don't have anything to hit Gyarados at all on my Infernape, so I just U-turn out. And I bring in my Gengar on this Tentacruel, and it's a sub-disable Gengar, so I'm hoping that I can set up a sub and disable Scald, which I'm assuming is his only attacking move, but apparently Showdown is frozen. So we're going to sit here and kind of talk about the rest of the battle. The main threats on his team are that Ferrothorn, which I only have 2 Pokemon that can touch, and my Infernape is at really low health, and he has a lot of switch-ins to it. And then there's this Gengar that's in right now, which ultimately becomes really important late game. So he double protects, probably hoping he could live 1, but he doesn't. And so I'm safely behind a sub, and he brings in his Ferrothorn, and probably is scouting for Focus Blast, and he brings in his Gyarados, which I carry. And here he goes for, yep, I go for a Shadow Ball, I'm faster. And he has a Citrus Berry, which is pretty interesting, but he's going to go for Waterfall and break my sub. And after seeing how much that last Shadow Ball did, I really don't feel like risking going for subs or disables or anything anymore. And he just ends up going for the Taunt. Probably predicting some kind of non-attacking move, I don't know. But now that he went for the Taunt on my Drapion, I'm like 99% sure he's going to go for Dragon Dance. And so I bring in my Garchomp, which is Scarfed and will outspeed with Stone Edge. And so I kill off his Gyarados. And at this point in time, I'm sure he knows that my Garchomp is Scarfed. And so he's going to bring in his Ferrothorn to resist the Stone Edge. And I'm going to bring in Infernape like I've done every time. But he just goes for Leech Seed. And the Protect is really obvious here, but I know I'll die to Stealth Rock, so I kind of just leave in my Infernape to die. So, no more Infernape. Now that means my Gengar is the only thing that can kill his Ferrothorn, so that guy needs to stay alive if I want to win this battle. And so now I'm going to predict him to predict my Taunt, and I'm just going to go for the Stealth Rock, but he goes for the Leech Seed. Nice play on his part. Probably knowing that I wanted to take off his half his Yanmega's health upon switching in. So he just goes for the Leech Seed. And a lot of the rest of this battle is just me trying to get in a Pokemon on this Ferrothorn without it being Leech Seeded, namely either my Gliscor or my Gengar, because they can either sub up on Leech Seed or taunt Ferrothorn, respectively. So that's what a lot of the rest of the battle is spent doing. And now this Drapion Ferrothorn matchup is happening again. I have nothing to do to this Ferrothorn, so I'm going to switch out into Gliscor and hope he misses Leech Seed or something, or doesn't go for it, but he goes for it, and yep, same situation where I don't want to continue to give him health, but yeah, I have nothing else I can do. I'm going to go for the Taunt on his Dragonite. It means it can't set up Dragon Dances on me, which is very nice. And so I'm going to go into my Drapion because I could have switched into my Garchomp, but I was fearing a Dragon-type move. He ends up just going for a Fire Punch, and I'm fearing a Fire-type move or Dragon-type move again, so I'm not going to switch out to my Garchomp. I'm just going to leave in my Drapion as fodder. And now I'm going to switch out to my Garchomp, and here I make kind of a stupid play. I predict him to switch into Ferrothorn, which is obvious. I go for Earthquake on his Dragonite. The thing is, the smart play would have been to switch into Gengar and get up a sub instead of going into Garchomp and going for Earthquake, because it only does like 30% to Ferrothorn, and now I just have to switch out, which means that he gets Leech Seed up on something else. So kind of a dumb play on my part. And now I switch into Garchomp again. I don't know what I was predicting, but I do that. And I'm going to switch him right out, realizing that was a stupid play. I'm going to go into my Gliscor, and he's going to protect. Probably trying to scout for whatever move I would lock myself into. And here I finally have an opportunity to go for Taunt, but both of us he predicts me to go for Taunt, and so he goes for Power Whip. I predict him to switch out, predicting my Taunt, and so I go for Toxic on his Ferrothorn. That looks stupid, and he gets a crit Power Whip. So this Ferrothorn is in here sitting fat and happy at full health. The only thing I have left is just Gengar to touch it, and things are looking bad for me. But I'm going to go for Substitute because I know that I can disable him if he wants to go for the only attacking move he has. and he decides for some reason not to go for Protect on his Yanmega. I don't know if he has it or not, but it's Speed Boost Yanmega. I saw it in the first game, and it just it dies to Gengar, who outspeeds before Speed Boost. So the only things he has left in his team are this Dragonite and his Ferrothorn, and I know that my Garchomp can't touch his Ferrothorn, and my Gengar can't really do that much to his Dragonite, but I'm safely behind a sub, and I can just keep going for Shadow Ball, fishing for a special defense drop or a crit or something like that. I don't want him at multi-scale, and I don't want him to go for a dragon type attack as I switch into Garchomp. So those are the two things I'm thinking right now. And he finally gets up to multi-scale, but I do get the special defense drop, which definitely matters. Um, he's at multi-scale, so my Shadow Ball doesn't do much, and he feels pressured now that his special defense has been lowered to go for Dragon Dance. And so now he's going to outspeed, and he's going to roost to get back up to multi-scale this turn. But he realizes that's kind of fruitless, and he finally goes for an attacking move, which isn't Outrage, it's Fire Punch. So here I can't lose my Gengar, I'll lose the battle, so I switch out, and at this point in time I thought I'd lost. Thought he predicts my Garchomp to come in, he goes for Outrage, and it kills my Garchomp, but the rough skin on Garchomp actually ends up killing his Dragonite, so the fact that Dragonite had rough skin over Sandville actually comes in handy in this situation. I honestly thought I was going to lose the battle there, but yeah, rough skin takes off the last 9% of his health, and he's dead. And now I can come in fat and happy with my Gengar, sit behind a sub, and just blast him with focus. So that's what I do. And so good game, Crinkly Crims. Sorry that I knew your sets beforehand, or a couple of them. I did not see that Garchomp set coming. I saw it go for Stealth Rock in the first game, but I don't think it actually did anything else. But it shuffled around my guys, and yeah, it was a real pain. So was his Ferrothorn, but it's finally dead. So, yep, good game. And comment, rate, sub for more. Thanks for listening.